Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Foch B. It's a tier 10 French tank destroyer. It's located on the attack team on Steps Assault, and it's under the command of marke12 of EXTE. Game on! Well, this is one of the first replays that's come to us since the update just went through, and now we've got replays with the results. Yes, we've all been complaining about the fact that those results were coming up, and Wargaming finally pulled their finger out and did something, and I think Jingles putting it in two big videos did actually help, because I think Wargaming were a bit embarrassed that he was doing replays and he didn't have any results to show his viewers. And they were quite good replays that Jingles did as well, and well, it was a pity that he couldn't show the results. In fact, one of the guys did get a 7-kill game being hulled down on Lakeside, and unfortunately the poor guy didn't get a Radley Waters because he decided to cap out at the end. But it was a brilliant game. If you watch that one, it's in the Centurion 7-1. Okay, well, the Foch. This is an autoloader with 6 shots, 120mm. It's capable of doing 400 alpha with standard rounds, 257mm of penetration with standard AP, and with the premium rounds, it'll do 325mm of armor. And he's selected to have no HE whatsoever. Now, he's decided to go the northern route, which is where the heavy tanks would normally go. And an enemy heavy has appeared, an AMX M451. It looks like it got a bit chewed up already. It's lost a few hit points. There he is. Okay, let's see what he can do. Can he put a round in? Yes, he does. Nice shot, but it's a low roll for 361. Second shot bounced off the turret. It's a 2-second intra-clip reload, but what's the real problem is the standard reload is 36.43 seconds, and you can see that, well, Marky's got 34.7. He has improved it a little bit, but not a huge amount. Now, these adjusted positions on the steps, they've changed the map somewhat. It's now slightly easier for you to defend this area of the map, but again, we're attacking on this one. We're the attack team. We've got to try and capture the cap or kill all the defenders within 10 minutes. And we've already used up 2.5 of those already. Now, the enemy has sent a huge number of heavy tanks forward on this part of the map, which is what the meta normally does. And the mediums have gone down to the south. You can see a huge number of our mediums are actually on the south route, but they're kind of stopped where they are at the moment. The enemy can't really progress any further forward, and I think they might be thinking at this moment about turning around and going back, because the attack force down in the south looks a lot stronger than up here. We do have an ST1, an SU-130 PM, and a standard B nearby, and I think they were the ones who got some damage into that AMX M451. Also got to take into account the fact that there is Arty in play in this game. The enemy has the GW Tiger P, and we've got the Lorraine 155-51, so technically we've got a bit of an advantage, because even though it's only a 155mm howitzer compared to a 17cm howitzer, the Lorraine 155-51 does have a much faster fire rate, and that does favour getting shells on target to keep them stunned whilst your teammates can do things. Plus, of course, it can quickly relocate because it's one of the faster Artys. Well, that's good news, because the GW Tiger P just killed the AMX M451. Actually, I've got them the wrong way around, haven't I? Because the enemy's got the Lorraine and we've got the GW Tiger P. Yes, I suddenly realised that. So it does favour the enemy that they've actually got the Lorraine. But our GW did prove his worth by actually getting rid of that AMX M4 by splashing him to death. even though he was hiding behind the rock, it couldn't stop him being splashed. And we're coming up to the 5-minute mark, which is the halfway point in the battle. Marky's thrown caution to the wind. He's having to get closer to the enemy, which is, of course, risky because there are parts of this tank destroyer you don't want to expose to the enemy. It's not as strong on the sides and the rear. The sides are only 80mm, the rear is only 40mm thick, but the front is 180, and of course it's actually very well angled, which makes it very difficult to penetrate this tank destroyer unless you hit the vision device, which is, you can see there, up on top of the turret, on the casement rather, or the cupolas. Well, he's sending a message to the Super Conqueror, trying to get him to fall back, but actually I think we need him to push forward.
Help.
Yeah, he's trying to get the guy to push forward. At least we've got a Lorraine 40 ton coming up as well. He might be able to help us. What we need is somebody to push the enemy and make them make a mistake and come out so that we can get shots into them. There's an Object 279E just around the corner. He hasn't detected Marky yet, but they probably know Marky's here because he may have been spotted by the E100 a little further away. Yeah, this is getting a bit dicey because we're getting very low on time, and with that really long reload, it's going to make it, well, very difficult for Marky to generate a huge amount of damage on the enemy, even though that gun can fire very quickly. With that 2-second intraclip reload, 6 shots. I'm not sure how many reloads he's going to be able to get done before the end of this game, because it's, well, now we've got 3 minutes, coming up 3 minutes, 10 seconds now. It's almost a stalemate. In fact, the same is going on in the south because the enemy doesn't appear to be allowing our guys, our mediums, to move any further closer to them. Now something's changed because the Type 61's got a little too close for comfort. He takes 1 round. He hit our gun, but he took 2 shots from us, and the kill shot goes to the Super Conk. Now that may have changed things. We fixed the gun, so it's back in order. We didn't lose any hit points, and now we've got the Lorraine 40 ton to help us. Now he's still full health as well. We've got a fast-firing 100mm gun with 4 shots. So this could be interesting. Coming up to the 2-minute mark. And there's still 11 enemies out there to kill. Okay, we've almost completed the load. We're loading APCR. Okay, here we go. He's pushing ahead with the Lorraine. They're going to double tap whoever they come across, and they found the first one. It's the E100. He fluffed his shot. We get 1 round into the 279. He's trying to go for the lower plate. He tried to back up, but he ran into the 40 ton. But that one punches through the 279. Didn't get that one in. Oh, he's taking hit after hit. Hunts another one in. And another. And the Lorraine 40 ton, kill him. Yes! We're down to just 50 hit points, and we've lost our gunner. But we're in reload. He's put the gunner back in, but now we are a 1-shot for any of the enemy tanks. And Marky's just pulling back to recover. Unfortunately, we did lose the tank. The Lorraine 40 ton got wiped out. Okay, almost loaded. There we go. 6 rounds ready to go. We're into the last minute of the game. We need to move fast now. There's 7 enemies to kill. Oh, 1 into the Progetto. Try and go for another. No, bounces off the turret. He pulls back into cover. We've still got 4 rounds left. E100 just around the corner. There you go. First one's in. Second one's in. Third one's in. Kill shot. Yes! He got him! There's only 3 enemies left. 2 enemies left. 1 enemy left. And he gets wiped out with 13 seconds left on the clock. It's a victory. Well, that one went down to the wire. That was a second-class tanker for marke12 in the AMX 50 Foch B. He managed to get a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle, but he didn't get any other medals in that one, even though he was instrumental with that Lorraine 40 ton in pushing the north end to getting some action, getting them some movement, which allowed them to kill the enemy tanks. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, we can see when it came to damage in that one, the highest damage in the game was actually done by Marke. He did 4,760 hit points of damage. Second highest damage was the E100 that he killed at the end of the game. 4,243 went to him. And then the third highest after that was the Super Conqueror, 2,996. Even though Marke actually told him to fall back at one point, I think he actually meant to tell him to attack instead of actually fall back. But it did work. He got 2,996. When it came to kills, it was the SU-130PM who did the best. He got 3 kills out of that game. 2 kills went to the UDIS 1516, the Lorraine 40 ton, and the GW Tiger P on our team. And nobody on the enemy team managed to get more than 1 kill. So that was the limit. In fact, only 4 tanks actually managed to get a kill at all in that game. And when it came to base XP, yep, it's the T54 first prototype who did the best. He's the tier 8 in that game. Got 1,176. 1,171 went to the SU-130PM. He's also tier 8. And the Lorraine 40 ton, 1,062. They were the only 3 who managed to get over 1,000 base. And again, mainly because they were tier 8 in a tier 10 game. So they were earning extra XP for every tier 10 that they were hitting. And that Lorraine 40 ton did hit that Object 279 a couple of times and claimed his kill. We can see that Marke got 947 out of that, so he did perform very well indeed, and of course he did get the highest damage in the game. We look at detail, we can see he fired 16 rounds, got 16 direct hits on the enemy, but only 12 penetrations, and I think the reason he didn't get all of those penetrations was because one of the shots actually bounced off the turret of the Progetto that came to that particular corner. He fired the second shot in, it just bounced off, ricocheted off. And the other one was that he was firing at an Object 279E on his upper plate, and the upper plate of that tank is very, very strong. And even though he was firing APCR, not all of them went through. And so, yes, he wasn't able to wipe out that guy himself, and he relied on the Lorraine 40 ton to do it for him. 4,760 hit points of damage, all of it done at close range. 9 hits received from the enemy, 4 of them penetrated, 5 non-penetrations, and 1 hit by way of splash damage, which came in from the Lorraine 15551. 2,180 hit points of damage blocked by armor. He damaged 5 of the enemy, killed 1, and did 551 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 33,578 credits for the battle, but after repair, ammunition, resupply, and consumables, and yes, in this case, it is the ammunition that cost him because he did have to load the APCR. He actually ended up with negative 22,903 credits, a loss for the game. But that's only really because he did have to load the APCR to get through the hull of a 279E. 947 XP for the battle, times 5 for the first victory, 711 from personal reserves, 2,842 from personal missions payout, took away 10,658 experience points altogether. He says this was a last-minute save, well, last-second save. 30 seconds were on the clock at the moment that the last enemy tank died, and he managed to get Marke just before he died. Now, I think Marke could have survived the battle if he stayed, well, where he was after he killed the E100, and I don't think that enemy would have actually got close to him, but I get the feeling that he moved the way he did just to actually try and distract that last enemy tank, so he was facing towards us at the moment that he got shot up the rear by our teammates, and that enabled his quick disposal, which gave them the victory. But there was only 13 seconds left on the clock when that last enemy tank actually expired, so very close battle indeed. Let's have a quick look at the armor for this thing. Yeah, look at that front. It is so strong. 180 millimeters, but bent back at such an angle that it actually comes out with 300 millimeters, very close to the to the gun. You can see there are vision ports here. There's the optical sight for the gunner, and that is the weak spot that you should aim for, because you can see it's actually fairly weak. It's only 150 millimeters, but coming out at about 150, you can see there are some bits on the edge here. But if you can hit this optical sight, you can either get through that. The cupolas you can actually penetrate, even though it's only 175 millimeters, coming out effective 196. So that's an alternate sight, but it's a little more difficult. As you can see, it's slightly red there. And the lower plate, well, it's very difficult to hit that because it's very narrow. And if he's hulled down, you're not going to see it at all. 100 millimeters angled out to 182. The sides of this vehicle are the ones you should aim for because they are very weak indeed. You can see here it's only 80 millimeters. If we go to the live model, so just to see exactly where the armor is, you can see even slightly angled, and you have got a very narrow arc either side. It's 10 degrees either side of the center line, but if you can angle this just slightly, and I think you can see that it is possible to do that, then you can actually increase the armor considerably by just angling a little bit. But you're actually better off, I think, more just keeping your front to the enemy and being hulled down so that the enemy's looking up at you. If you're looking at the exact same level, you can see the lower plate here actually tends to drop a bit. So ideally you want to increase the angle on that lower plate area. And of course you don't want to get hit in the sides or the rear, because if you do, it's curtains. Have a quick look at the modules. Okay, we can see the gunner is up front. There's that gunner's sight there. This is the driver on the left-hand side. We've got the... oh, didn't mean that to happen. That's better. Okay, we've got the TC on the right-hand side. He's got that optical sight. And there's his radio there. We've got the ammo racks are behind. And as you can see, the loader's on the left-hand side. He's got that cupola with the machine gun. And there's huge ammo racks right in the middle of the tank. So that's where to aim if you want to get a big explosion. If you can hit the side of an AMX 50B, just go straight for underneath the cupolas, or get the slightly to the rear of them, and you should get a nice big bang. You can see the fuel tanks are actually on the same level, and they're sandwiching the engine at the back. Easy to penetrate the back. It's only 40 millimeters of armor, so very thin there. But yes, you don't want to be facing this front of an AMX Foch B, because yes, they are going to do a lot of damage to you with 6 shots of 120mm ammunition. So that's where the modules are on this vehicle. So thanks very much to Marky for sending through this replay, and one of the first to come to us, or come to me, since we've seen that they've made the upgrade and we can now see the results. It's not the only result we're going to have, because I've actually got another replay to go through, but I'll do that in a separate replay rather than put it together in this video. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.